So how's the weather out there in San Diego?
It's it's beautiful. It's about 71 degrees right now, and not a cloud in the sky right now, so it's
Oh
nice.
my gosh.
What about you?
Well, it's actually not bad out here, but we need for God to make up His mind as to whether it's going to be hot or cold right now. I mean, one day it could be 70, and the next day it could be 45. So
Wow.
it's really it's really unpredictable right now.
Do you always have to put a sweater in the car whenever you go somewhere because you don't know what it's going to turn into?
A sweater or a jacket, until we finally get to some consistency.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. There'll be people that'll be watching this broadcast over and over again when it's over. You're actually on the Independent Gospel Artists Alliance Facebook page, um, where we have about a little under 8,000 people that's on the page. And I started the page before actually started the conference 9 years ago, with the whole sole purpose of having the means to bring indies together and to educate and all that kind of stuff. So just for people to know, I want people to know that this is Mike Warner from San Diego, California. He is a streaming expert. He does a lot of things. He works with independent artists. He has a huge background. He has really done a lot and he will be joining us at our ninth IGAA conference, Independent Gospel Arts Alliance conference, come July 11th through 13th. And Mike, we're so glad to have you to consent to come and join us in July. So it's gonna be fantastic. We have an eager group of people who are awaiting your presence in July. So welcome.
Thank you, Philip. I appreciate the invitation as well. First and foremost, I'm really looking forward. To be honest, I've never actually been there myself, so it's all new to me. You have to
Yeah,
excuse me for 1 second. My dog's just making a really concerning noise.
it's okay. It's okay.
You right? What's the matter? Hey, hey. This is what happens when you go live.
Hey, it's fine. Fine.
Hey, come on, here, come on. Hey, I apologize about that.
That's all right. What kind of dog is it?
She is a little furry bear. She's a mix. She's half Pomeranian. Uh,
Okay.
and sounds like she swallowed a very big hairball, but you never know until you check. So, and they're family. So,
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. She, I
Absolutely.
don't think she's coming on camera today. She's camera shy, but
Whenever she gets ready, you can always interrupt the broadcast and show us to her. Uh, so while you're taking care of her, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in this whole indie business.
yeah, sure. And once again, if I do need to disappear, you'll know why, and I'll come
Right,
straight.
right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So look, I'll do the short version, in the interest of time. But I've been in the music industry over 15 years. I started as a DJ, um, and then got into production, and from there got into independently releasing music with friends. And as a result, learned a lot about what needs to be done to get your music out there, to get it heard, and to find your fans and keep them and grow them. Most importantly, so that led me to sharing a bunch of information on my website. I wrote a book. It's a digital only format called Work Hard, Playlist Hard. And I also host a podcast and just really want to put myself out there to help as many artists as I can. I always say I'll help anyone that will listen as long as you're prepared to do the work for yourself. I'll tell you what you need to do to get you to that next step. And that's what I'm all about. Is just I want to help as many people as I can.
Thank you for your graciousness and wanting to help people. Can you tell just briefly, tell our people just briefly, is there a real difference in how Spotify operates versus Apple Music versus Pandora?
Yeah. So, in what capacity are you speaking about as far as
I mean, do they all pay the same rates, or is it all different?
it's all very different. So here's what you need to know. It's not just the services that pay different. You know, Spotify will pay different to Apple, will pay different to Tidal, Pandora. But The payouts are also different by country. So to put it out there, a couple of years ago, we did some research on this, and 4 streams in Mexico was the equivalent of 1 stream in Australia, in case you haven't been there. And so it differs by country, but also it's a mix of free users versus paid or premium subscribers as well. So if people are paying for Spotify, you get paid a little more from those streams than if it's a free user listening to you with the ad version instead. So the way I say it is, it all adds up. You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah, it's all complimentary, and people are going to listen to your music wherever they choose. So I always say, don't just put it on Spotify, don't just put it on Apple, make it available everywhere. The best thing that could happen is somebody could go out, buy your CD, and then go home and stream your music on Spotify, and then go somewhere else and be listening to it, because you've got that constant recurring revenue instead of just selling a CD for a one-off payment. You're going to continue to make money as well from your music through streaming.
Right. How does one build up, just briefly without giving us everything, how does one really build up their audience on a Spotify? I mean, that's the hot topic right now, and we know that there have been incredible attempts to try to get Spotify to pay more money and all that kind of stuff. But how does, I'm just getting started as an artist, and I'm out here, and I heard about Spotify, and people are not buying as many CDs they used to buy. How do I start to build up my audience? Just a nutshell version.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So what I would say is, I mean, I would speak to friends who are already releasing music and ask them to help you. And when I say that, I don't mean just ask them for advice. There's a number of things which I will cover in more detail, of course, at the conference. But there's things that you can do where you can all help each other and lift each other up to the next level in your careers. So let's say I'm releasing similar music to you, and I have 1,000 followers on Spotify, and I have a release coming out soon. You may be familiar with pre-saves or pre-ads. In those campaigns, obviously, one thing that you're trying to achieve is have people save your song. So the day it's released, they've saved it into their Spotify and their Apple Music. But the other thing that you can do is they can also, at the same time, they can follow you on Spotify and follow you on Apple Music. You can actually add your friends into that part of the process as well. So they're not just following you, they're also going to follow other artists that you've added into that as well. So you're growing your following for each other, and then every time one of you in your group releases a track, everyone's followers increase, and you're all helping each other in that process.
Wow, that's great information. I'm sure a lot of people needed to hear that. And when you hear it, please take some notes, because I think that's important to create groups, consortiums, things like that help build each other's playlists. You can do some things on your own, but it's better when you do it together. You kind of grow together. So one person starts a playlist here, everybody join on, and vice versa. Really get some things going. And then one thing that has helped me is everywhere I go now to perform, I tell people to, join my playlist on Spotify, and as you join my playlist, you join my email list. I let you know what else is going on, who else has new music out, all those kinds of things. So Mike, so I want people to know, do you help other artists?
Yes.
Yeah. So how do people get in contact with you if they need help from you?
Yeah, look, what I like to do is, a lot of the questions that people come to me asking are questions that a lot of people have, but haven't said it, or are too shy, or they just don't want to ask it for whatever reason. So what I do is I say, look, reach me on Twitter or Instagram or on my Facebook page. Ask the question there so that I can post the answer and help anyone else that's watching as well. That would be the best way. I'm most active on social media. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. My handle is @AskMikeWarner.
Thank you so much. Everybody who just joined, this is Mike Warner, streaming expert. He's been working this thing for a while. He's coming to our conference July the 11th through the 13th, the Independent Gospel Artists Alliance Conference. you want to be there, you can register today by going on www.indiegospelalliance.com. That's INDIE gospelalliance.com. Mark, do you also do like work for hire and things like that as well?
Not so much now. I do the occasional consulting work, but I
Uh-huh.
like to do the one to many teaching where I can help an entire room full of people, or
Uh-huh.
go online and do a video that everyone can access, more so than just doing one-on-ones.
Right, right. You also are an artist yourself, aren't you?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. What's the most successful thing you've done in terms of streaming? I mean, how high up have you gotten with in terms of streams or helping other artists?
I mean, I'll share a personal one first. So as far as the total number of streams, we went independent 2 to 3 years ago, and we've had over 6 million streams on Spotify alone. Um, two of those songs are very close to 1 million streams each right now. Uh, and there's obviously numerous editorial support we've had, which is Spotify themselves adding us to their playlists, which really helps us to grow our followers and grow our streaming numbers. Uh, Outside of that, there have been some artists where they've come to me and I've given them some advice, and they've come back and said, I did what you said and I got 20,000 streams. I've never had more than 1,000 streams on a song.
Hmm.
That's really satisfying because all they had to do was listen and apply what I told them. And it's a great feeling to know that people are prepared to put in the time and do a little work once they know what they need to do.
Right, right, right. When I released my most recent project, I did a live project from Poland, and I just released it in January, and I learned about the pre-ad process, about how Spotify will let you select a track that you can pitch to other playlists.
Yep.
Have you had any success with that?
Yes. So on the latest release that I put out, we did exactly that. We did the submission to Spotify editorial, so going into Spotify for artists and submitting at least 1 week before release date. And it will prompt you to tag the mood, the instruments used, the type of vocals in the song, and any genre tags that you feel are relevant. And then we got placed on 2 editorial playlists for that latest song.
Great. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you all, this is, I call him, look, in the church we call brother. This is brother Mike Warner. And you have already been generous to me. You've turned me on to another guy in Manhattan, New York, that I met the other day, Aaron, who is doing Gospel House. Is it
He's amazing.
Gospel House?
Amazing.
Yes, Gospel House. And I heard some of his music. I did on Spotify, and I'm just very impressed with him. But I'm more impressed with his testimony and the things that he's had to go through to be successful at this, and the fact that he has a team. He's traveling. Many of you all on this page have probably never heard of him. What's his name? His name is Aaron what?
Aaron K. Gray.
Yeah, Aaron K. Gray. Many of y'all may not have ever heard of him, but he is doing some major, major things across the country. And I'm sure his Spotify numbers are going up greatly as well. And, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Tidal, they kind of help us to level the playing field. The major labels bought up a whole bunch before we got started, but we're still able to make a big dent. Mike, I'm not going to hold you. I thank you for your time, but is anything you want to leave with now? There's an artist that will be that's on this page that may not be able to make it to the conference, but they're really struggling with this whole streaming business. Is there anything that you can tell them right now that we can leave them with?
Look, I would say the worst thing you can do is give up, because then somebody else is going to step into that. I would say if you've got music that you're sitting on, don't sit on it. Release it. Put it out. Let the audience decide. If they don't like it, they may love your next track. But the worst thing you can do is give up or not put your music out. And it's so easy to release music now. There's distributors out there, and distributors are companies that will take your music and put it everywhere. Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Deezer, the list goes on. Some of these companies, it's $26 a year for some of them, and that's it. And you get to keep 100% of your earnings. So I would say if you've got music that's done, on and you don't know what to do with it, just put it out there at least. Have it out there so people can start discovering it now.
What is your presentation going to be like at the IGAA conference?
It is going to be a combination of me sharing my laptop screen live, also showing some short clips and screen grabs as well. And of course, I'll be there taking. I'm going to leave a decent amount of time for questions and answers as well. And then, if it's okay with you, what I'd like to do is perhaps if we can talk about getting a recording and making that available for anyone that can't make it to the conference.
Sure.
I'd be more than happy to make that available after as well, because I don't want anyone to miss out on this information. And even if you only share that in your group, I feel that it would be beneficial for anyone that couldn't attend.
Man, thank you so much, man. I haven't met a lot of people like you that's that giving. So I really, really appreciate your spirit, your attitude, and what you are doing to help others, to help everybody win. So really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us. Last but not least, is your dog going to let us see his face?
Not
is
right.
She gonna let us?
It's not the best time to turn the camera.
Okay. Well, listen, brother, this is the first time we've seen each other. So thank you so much. And we'll be in contact soon. And if you have any questions for Mike, you can reach him on Twitter at what?
I'll spell it out because of my accent. It's
okay.
AskMikeWarner. Ask Mike Warner.
Ask Mike Warner, or you can leave a question here under this broadcast, and I'll make sure that he gets it. Mike, thank you so much, man. Have a really, really great rest of the day.
Thank you, Philip. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.